When God is quiet, his silence is a statement. And a true prophet of God, a mature prophet of God who has gained mastery, can decode that, can interpret that to mean something. This is a witch. Now you have the king of Israel inquiring from a witch. But what he wants to hear is the word from the Lord.
Well, shalom there. A warm welcome to the Watcher's Plug. Thank you for joining us today. Now, we are going to be watching as Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa was teaching the church on the modes of communication that God uses to communicate with his people. As Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa continues to teach, he tells us on how God can be still communicating even though he may be silent. As he continues to teach, he also touches on the book of 1 Samuel, where we see the king then, who was Saul, preparing to go to battle, but he couldn't go because the Lord hadn't spoke to him, because there was no other prophet who was alive at the time who could match the standards of Samuel the prophet who had died. Now, to inquire from the Lord, he went and spoke to a witch so that he could communicate with Samuel, who had long died. Now, remember to actually get more from the video. Make sure to watch the very end. Remember to also share with your friends and your colleagues so that they learn and partake of the mysteries of the kingdom of God. Stay blessed.
And when Saul inquired of the Lord,
the Lord
answered him not.
The Lord answered him not. So he didn't answer. God kept quiet. So his mouth was shut. But he had asked the Lord, and God heard him asking, and God chose
not to answer.
Right?
Yes.
Did it?
And when Saul inquired of the Lord, the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams.
So every dream he had nothing to do with this warfare.
Nor by Urim,
nor by prophets, which means they were prophets. There were prophets, many other prophets, apart from Samuel.
Yes.
Samuel was dead. There were other prophets, but still God did not answer Saul, the king, through those many prophets. So you must understand that even if you're a king, even if you're a president of a nation, you can have hundreds of prophets in your nation, but God will not answer you through prophets. He answers you through the prophet. Wow. So he went to them. Still, they are still being referred to as prophets. Yet they could not hear, they could not receive or retrieve an answer from God concerning Saul's situation. So if you have to follow this, it's very, very critical. So the fact that the king has gone to a prophet and the prophet cannot deliver a message from the Lord to the king, that does not disqualify the prophet from remaining a prophet. He was still a prophet, but could not hear or receive an answer from the Lord concerning this matter in particular.
This is actually true, because in the Bible, in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 4, verses 27, we see as Prophet Elisha says that the Lord has hidden it from him.
Right?
Yes.
Nor in dreams. So when Saul realized that now I cannot receive a word from the Lord, he still felt that somebody has it. God is not really quiet. He's quiet to some people, some prophets. But there is a prophet that can still hear God even when he's not talking, even when he's not speaking. So that's when now he said,
he's mastered the mind of God.
The mind of God. There is the voice and there is the mind.
So even when he's quiet, you can still get information.
You can hear God. Because when God speaks, he's speaking. When he's quiet, he's speaking. You must get to a level where you can discern the heartbeat of God. God's intents. You must be able to discern the mind of God even before he speaks. That's what he does. We are talking about Daniel here. He was told that the day you set your mind, when it was a thought, an answer came from heaven. When it was, if you were thinking about it, of wanting to pray and wanting to fast,
And the answer
that
had been
thought,
said.
exactly, we responded to a thought. We answered not a prayer, a thought. When you thought of praying, an answer was provided.
Is
here,
they not operating at another level of mastery, man of God?
So if heaven can collect a prayer before you pray from you, surely you can also collect an answer from God even before he speaks. When God is quiet, his silence is a statement. And a true prophet of God, a mature prophet of God, who has gained mastery, can decode that, can interpret that to mean something. Just like, okay, you will see later what the prophet is going to say. He will refuse to give him a word from God. And in the process of refusing to give him a word from God, he will give him a word.
Let's proceed. we can't wait to get to that.
It's just like you come to me and God is not happy with you. And then God tells me that I'm not happy with him, so don't talk to him. And then I will tell you, God has told me not to talk to you because he's not happy with you. I've already spoken to you.
You're talking.
I'm talking. So that's why I'm saying, even if God refuses to speak, he's speaking. Even when he's quiet. When the prophet comes and he says, God will never speak to you again, it's actually God speaking. But I will never speak. So even when God is quiet, he is speaking. So now you see, he says to his servant, so who shall give us a word? Find a witch for me. So he has to go to plan B because plan A is gone. Who can help me? Who can give me information concerning this battle that I'm faced with? And one said, there is a witch at Endor. There is a woman with a familiar spirit. And Saul said, can I borrow your shirt? Can I borrow your shoes? I want to be like a servant. And he disguised himself, went and he presented himself before this witch. This is a witch. Now you have the king of Israel inquiring from a witch. But what he wants to hear is the word from the Lord.
From a witch.
So Saul the king said to this witch, I'm here, I want you to call someone for me. And then the woman said, you want me to get killed. You want the king to take off my head. The king has stopped us. He has fired us from work. We cannot practice anymore according to his decree. I've been chased from my house because of this path that I've chosen. This is my career of soothsaying. So I know the reason why you are coming. You want then to go back to the king and tell him that there is a practicing woman, there is a witch that is still serving the community, and I will be killed because of. And then he swore, Saul the king swore by the name of the Lord in the presence of a witch. He used the name of the Lord, said, I will not betray you. I will not disclose this matter to anyone. Please call somebody for me. And then she said, who is that person that you want me to call? And the king said, call for me Samuel. That was the end of the discussion, the end of the request. Call for me, Samuel. Then the witch began to call the exact person according to the request. It was like a prayer to the witch, and she's answering the prayer. She called for the spirit of Samuel. Many preachers, they would tell you that that was a demon that she saw. And that's the best way you can answer that. They say that wasn't Samuel. That was a demon. Okay. Now, when she called for the spirit of Samuel, she began to cry, and she said, I see the gods ascending from the earth.
And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods.
I saw what?
Gods.
Gods
Ascending out of the earth.
Out of the earth.
out of the earth. So I once preached on that. You get the gates of hell. The preaching on the gates of hell. I touched on that. How the spirits would be kept in a certain place on the earth. That was before the cross. So I don't want to get into that. But hear this. She said, I saw the gods. This was once a prophet. Now he's in a different form. When he appeared to this woman, he's appearing like a god. And then suddenly, she began to scream. This woman, she said, you have deceived me. You have deceived me. Because you are the king of Israel. And then the king of Israel said, tell me what you see. What are you seeing? Describe to me the gods. That's what he asked for. The king said, describe. What's the outlook? A description of the gods was like the description of the prophet. And she said, the gods that I'm seeing an elderly man with a mantle on him.
He is covered with a mantle.
He has a mantle. And then Saul perceived
that it was Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground.
Suddenly, when this witch was taken over by a superior force, then the king prostrated before her. Now he's not doing this to the witch to honor the witch, but the spirit now that has taken over the witch. Now he's respecting the prophet as in old days, whilst the prophet was still alive. When Saul realized that now we have the presence of a prophet, he fell on his face and they began to speak. Now Samuel said to Saul, what did he say?
Why hast thou disquieted me?
Why have you called me?
To bring me up.
Yes?
And Saul said, he answered, I am so distressed.
I'm in trouble. I am in trouble.
For the Philistines make war against me.
So what he wants from this prophet now, he's not inquiring from the witch. You have to understand, at this point, he's inquiring from the prophet. Now the conversation is no longer between the king and the witch. The conversation is between the prophet and the king of Israel. The prophet then said to the king, remember, I have already given you a prophecy. This can only be the same prophet who once gave him a prophecy.
Again,
This cannot be a demon. Because if this was a demon speaking through this witch, the demon would not have attacked Saul for disobeying God's instructions.
Yes.
Because demons do not encourage people to obey God. So when you listen now to how the prophecy was constructed, you can understand that this indeed was the spirit of Samuel. This was Samuel. And Samuel said to the king, remember, I told you about your kingdom being divided, being taken away from you, because you disobeyed God when I sent you that time to deal with the Amalekites, and you spared Agag. You didn't kill him. And I told you, I will not give you any new prophecy. But I have to remind you of the prophecy that I already gave to you. Now you have to know that your kingdom has been taken. It will be given to your neighbor, David. David, we know David was mentioned through the mouth of a witch by the prophet. And Samuel went on to give a prophetic word now that you will not be spared. When you go this war, this is your last battle. Tomorrow, you and your 3 sons, you are going to be with me, which means you are going to die. So he was given another prophecy. You are going to die. So at the same time when God is silent, imagine, God is not answering.
Yes.
Through a dream, through Urim.
Yes. And the prophet.
Through the prophet. So God is not answering. Then he moved to a different prophet, Saul. Now he's getting an answer concerning the war, that he will not survive it. So he is, even when God is not answering, but he got an answer from a different prophet.
And the amazing thing is, the answer that he's getting is timeless. It is of events that are going to take place within the specified time.
Yes.
So you can never say this was information gotten before, or
no.
It applies to
He
me.
even said tomorrow you'll join me here.
Hey.
You join me here.
That's another issue.
Okay? You are dying tomorrow. That's what the prophet said. But now, still the issue remains. How was he able to prophesy to Saul? Through a witch. That's mastery. When you are made a master over witches,
Even in his physical absence.
Exactly. But you see, the issue here is we tend to argue that God cannot speak through a witch. But you must understand that witchcraft is a sin. How about God speaking through a gossip? Of which we know gossip is a sin. A liar. There are prophets who are prophets now, and they believe God is using them. Yet they have committed adultery. Adultery is a sin, just like witchcraft. Yet God can use them to prophesy. What's the difference between a genuine prophet who has committed adultery and can still prophesy, and a witch who is committing a sin called witchcraft
And can still.
But the prophet is able to use an instrument, an object, because of its availability. Because this woman has managed to strive for mastery. She has mastered spiritual things. And it's easy even for the prophet to transmit a message through a person who has well developed herself into becoming a master. Him also, the prophet, becoming a master over witches. He can make use of them